All right, this webinar wrap-up shows the highlights from the Lunch and Learn on Web Report Writer on-site inspecting workflows with a special guest co-host, Inspector Darren Jones.
All right, Darren Jones. I run Carolina HomeInspect, been inspecting over 20 years. Started with HomeGauge 2005, 2006 with the desktop, and slipped away for a while and came back. And when I came back, we came back with the web writer. It's come a long ways. Anyone who's tried it in the past, it's nothing now compared. It's way better now than it was when they first created it. Very quick and easy to use in the field. And we're going to kind of roll through today how to do this in the field and what kind of the options are. So you can see on my screen, I've got this small window. That is a link directly to the app on my phone. So we can see what the app looks like versus, so here's my inspection page, and you can see my past inspections are all on here. So when you're looking at the app on the phone, it's only going to load a couple days worth. So it's not going to take up a lot of space on your phone. We don't need all that. If I wanted to on my phone, I could open my browser and go directly to this page and see anything that I've done in the past. But this is going to keep a couple days worth in the app for you to work on. So, and I just created this one here this morning, Garden Street. So getting started, we roll up to the inspection. Did you want to show the dashboard before I go into actually doing the software?
So with HomeGauge and when you're using the web writer, the best practice for starting your report, just so everybody's aware, maybe you all already know this, but the best practice is actually starting here on your dashboard and booking an appointment. So under appointments, I'm just going to go to calendar, and I already have an appointment ready for this example just to save on some time. But you can always click new appointment here to get started by filling out an appointment, or just double click anywhere on the calendar. Basically what you do is you fill out some details about the appointment, and the benefits are you can link your agreement so they can sign online. You can also link an invoice and have them pay online. And once you're done filling out the appointment, the software sends out automated emails to the buyer and the agent, letting them know that the confirmation of the date and the time, and for the buyer to sign the agreement and they can pay for it and things like that. So I've already done those steps. We have a lot of content online to check that out for learning about appointments. It's rather easy once you get into the flow. But once you book your appointment, you'll see it on your calendar. And then, the day before the inspection, I think it's always good practice. You just click on the appointment. This little side menu will appear. And what you'll do to sync the appointment to WebWriter, so it starts a report for you, you click this little plus sign here. When you click on that plus sign, it will open up the WebWriter browser version for you. So right now, it just navigated me to WebWriter. If you have multiple templates in WebWriter, you'll have the option to choose one of your templates. Your default one will show up at the top. So if that's what you choose, you don't have to actually click a drop down and select anything. If you only have one template, then it automatically just opens up the report up in WebWriter for you. So basically right now, I'm now looking at my report and it has all the data pulled over. So I don't have to do any double entry of typing out the address or the customer's information and things like that. If you're using the app, open it up and hit sync to cloud. It pulls that report onto the app. That way, the next morning you can wake up and just run out the door and you've got the report ready to go on your device. The app can work without a data connection. So that's what a lot of people like to use. And so that's just the main best practice for starting a report. But if you want to, you can always do it this way as well. You just lose some of the benefits of having the agreement and the invoice and things like that all linked. So you can always go here to add inspection and just fill out some details there to get started with a report. Most people that do this method, they're using it because they're just testing things out and they're exploring. It's not a paid inspection where they want to get a signed agreement and all that kind of stuff. So you can always do this. Just note that when you go to share the report on your dashboard, there are some extra steps because you have to add in the customer's email address and things like that. One more thing about starting a report as well. If you need to, you can go to the app and there's an option to do the same kind of function here, add inspection on the app as well. So that's pretty much all I've got to say about starting the report. I'll kick it back over to you, Darren.
Okay. So we show up on site. I've already, I'm going to hit sync. I've already hit sync. My address is already here. We're going to open that address. And typically the first thing I do is get this front of the home picture. So we're going to jump into this. I'm going to click right on that picture here in the app. And then I'm going to do add media. And we would normally take photo. So I'm going to hit take photo and it's going to bring up the photo, which, like I said, the phone is sitting here on my desk. So we're going to back up here and select media off my device. And for this one, I've got to go down to my media folder. So I select the picture, hit add, done, and there's the front of the house photo. All right, so if you wanted to, you could write your property summary right here on site. Once you start typing in here, you've got to hit the save button. It will not save this unless you hit save. So just make sure that we do something like that. I'll go ahead and do it. Hit save. Okay. There are disclaimers in here that I've set as default. There are many more. So on a particular house, if you wanted to add something, we could create a new disclaimer. We could add a disclaimer that we didn't have. Maybe there's something different about this house. All of that's right here. Then we're going to go down and go into the description. I have already tweaked everything in my software. And I say that to say that when you get into descriptions, if you're in the app now or looking at it, or you to pick it up and play with it, you're going to find more descriptions in here than what I have as default. A lot of these I feel like are not necessary. Some of them, like this one says estimated year built, I added. So those are things you can do. We're not going to get into that right now, but so you can add these. And the reason I added that is sometimes you get into a home and they don't know when it was built. And I've been there where they're like, oh, it's 1980. And then we get in there and we've got slats for the roof sheathing and just clear indicators that it's probably 1930s, 1940s. But we don't know what year it is. So I'm going to put an estimated year built in there so that the buyer understands that, no, this isn't 1980, it's probably 1940. So we can do this in the field. It's real simple. We got central air, foundation design. It's on, I was looking for slab. Yeah, scroll down, there's slab. I'm not going to go through all of these. We have the home tour. We can add images inside the home. I use a 360 camera. So I can grab those 360 images, drop them right here on the report. They see the full 360 images, then go into each room and spin it around and look at them. Definitely use that if it's an out-of-town inspection. But it's also great for the everyday inspection because it covers your butt. You've got room photos of every room. They can't say, well, you missed this. You didn't, this wasn't there. There was a hole in that wall. No, I've got a picture of the room. It's right there in the report. So that's nice. You could use it for whether you're using a regular camera or a 360 camera. Just having those room photos in there helps. So I don't typically do this. I actually do this when I set up my report. I'll go in and put the information in that I have. And then after the inspection is done, I go back and fill that out. So I get my front of the house photo. I typically jump into systems. I started the exterior. We're going to go around. If it's public water, there's probably a public water shutoff at the street. We're going to go grab a picture of that. We're going to put it in here. But for the sake of keeping this simple today, what I'm going to do is pull up my pictures on my other screen here. So I'm in the house and I'm at the service panel and we have wires over the panel coming out of the panel that are exposed. So I'm going to drop down to wiring. I'm going to add my comment because this is the whole purpose I went in here is exposed, not in conduit. Toggle that, hit done. So now we can see that. Impact, suggestions. I would in the field hit camera. Today we are going to upload. And I'm going to switch to the browser version here in a minute and then it'll be a little easier. So here we go, add. So that picture shows up in the report. Now, this panel is in a closet off the laundry room. So I want to click on that photo and I want to put that in here. And we'll close that. Now I know it does save it by default. So I'm working on a phone connection through the computer. But when you're in the app and you type something in there and then you just X out, it does automatically save it. So I'm going to go back up since we're right here. I know we have cloth covered wiring and Romex in here. You'll see up top, I've got Romex already selected for default wiring. So if I come in here, we can add cloth covered also. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. We'll hit an X and get rid of it. But I did mean to do that. So we're going to go back and grab it again. You can edit this right here if you wanted to add something. If the option isn't readily available, we can hit edit field, go over here to edit this particular one. If we want to add a different description, we could. Editing the wiring method, we just add new option. You can also just set your default down here. So by default, any one of these. So just about in any house you go in today, you're going to have Romex wiring. If it's a 1930s home, they've probably added an outlet or a light or something at some point. You're probably going to have Romex wiring. So in my experience, like 99% of the homes have Romex somewhere. So I went ahead and set that as default. Now, if I'm in a new home and that's all that's there, I don't touch it again. If I'm in an older home and we have knob and tube, we have cloth cover, we have something else, I can add those in. But by having Romex as default, it saves me from taking that step of adding that material in on every inspection. So I do like to, if it's something that I'm finding commonly, say 70, 80% of the time, I'm going to go ahead and set it in there as default. Let me give an example. PEX, we see PEX everywhere today. If I happen to get into a home that was built in 1980 and it's got copper plumbing, I'm going to see it and go, oh yeah, it's copper. I'm going to go add the copper and X out the PEX. And then I only have to do that on what, 15, 20% of homes. So it just saves that extra step. So my library is already set with all these defaults in it so that I don't have to enter all of this stuff every time. All right. So I'm going to switch back to the browser quick. But in doing that, I want to show you, it's very similar to working in the field on the browser and the app as far as the layout. I wouldn't work in the field on the browser. You can. I would always use the app, but what I'm saying is the interface are very similar. So when I switch to the browser, it's not like it's going to change a lot of what you would be doing in the field. I actually work as a team with my wife when I inspect. We each have our own devices we use. We each sync separately. Everything goes to the cloud. Everything gets merged together in the cloud and back into the report. So this is something that if you had multiple devices on site for any reason, you can actually do that and it will sync and merge all the information together. So what we just did, I'm going to go ahead and hit sync. And if you see me say something you need to add to, Suzie, go ahead and jump in. So I already hit sync on the app. I'm going to go ahead and I'll just minimize it for now in case we want to jump back to it. So now I'm on the browser. I get back to the office. I'm on the browser. I want to see what I've done. When I open this, go back here. So I'm going to open my web writer from the dashboard. And there is the one that we're working on. And you can see that the letters I put in transferred over, media that I added in transferred over, everything's in here. So we're going to continue this inspection, but I'm going to do it from the browser now. So we're going to say we're in the kitchen. We've got a GFCI that's not working. So we're going to go to electrical. GFCI, actually not, it's missing. Add comment, not present in kitchen. Done. And we're going to upload a photo. Again, in the field, you'd hit take photo. So there we have, okay. So there's the picture, no GFCI. So we're going to annotate that. It works exactly the same like I said in the app. Grab this, drag it over here. This is actually a picture my wife took. Thank you, Andrea. Just pointing out a tip, and I've given it to her too. I think she might have taken this picture for the tile, but when we take photos, I try to center whatever the object is in the center of the photo. So I'm going to delete this. Reason being, when you go to say I want to circle this outlet is the default. If the object is in the center, when you hit circle or arrow's off to the right, but it's going to grab whatever's right in the center. So I always try to center those things. so that one, it looks better in the report, but it makes it easier to do this. If it's already pre-centered, you just hit the circle and it circles it and you move on. So we'll hit save there. You're going to see it pop up right here. We'll go ahead and type a caption. We already know it's in the kitchen, but we'll hit kitchen counter. And I hit X, and let me just show you that, yes, that does save automatic. Okay. If you needed to add a disclaimer, it's down there. GFCI, we don't have item details, and I'm moving on to whatever's next, which is going to be, hey, there's some peeling paint on the porch. So let's jump back into systems. We're out on the porch. In these systems, I have moved them around, reorganized them. So when we go into the house, the first thing we do is go to the kitchen and like turn the dishwasher on, test the oven. I want to make sure all those things are tested and off and finished before we leave that inspection. So we start there. So appliances are the number one thing on the list. Because we're in the kitchen, we're also going to find plumbing and electrical. There's going to be HVAC. I like to have those systems kind of together. And then we go straight to room components. Building exterior, I have below that. Because I do that, just the way we have set up our inspections, my wife does the interior, I do the exterior, so I'm starting down at the bottom with the building exterior. It just makes it easier for us. But the point in all of this is that you can reorganize this. So balconies, decks, and porches towards the bottom for us. I've moved fireplace and pool and hot tub to the very bottom. Not all houses have fireplaces and very few have pools. Okay, so we're looking at porch. Balconies, decks, and porches. So I go in there, we're going to add our comment. We're going to say, I think it's stain paint. Let's see, QRS. Stain paint, sealer, peeled, faded, bleached out. Toggle that one, hit done. We are going to take a picture in the app, but again, we're not in the app. So on this particular one, we've got a side porch. That paint on that door is pretty bad. It's really the whole door, so we're just going to leave it as it is. But you know what? I got a whole nother porch, and we've got issues on that porch too. Let's grab both photos. And so now this is the rear porch. We've got some paint peeling here. I can go to the next picture right here. We've got some paint peeling down here. Basically need to repaint, touch up in the porch area. But you saw how I just did that. So I can go to the first one. I can annotate. I can add a caption down here. I can click the arrow, go to the next one, annotate, add a caption down here. Go to the next one, annotate, add a caption down here. And then, hey, we're moving on to the next section of the house. So now I'm outside. HVAC. We've got an AC condenser, and we've got a bush right against it. So we have got, I don't remember the terminology, but I know I have something in here. Vegetation, blocked by vegetation. Done. We will add a photo to that one. So very simple system to use. All right, so I've done all this on site. At this point, I would go back and in the app, I'm going to hit, let me add a picture here or something. Let me add a concern. Systems. Let's go to wiring. We're going to add a comment in here. Bandage, logo, bandage. Many times on site, we run into things that are not exactly what we have set up in our library. A lot of times I know that, trying to think of an example. Say let me just go into this one, show details. So in this abandoned wiring, if I hit show details on any of these, it expands it. Then I can go to edit comment. So if I want something that has the same safety concern, I can, but the description would be different. I can just change the description. I can edit any part of this. So we're just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. So say we edited this. The description was slightly different than what I have in my library versus what I saw on site. And I want to make sure it was accurate. We're going to hit save. This is now going to ask me, do I want to replace that original comment? No, I like my original comment. That's why it's in my library. Do I just want to use it one time? Because this is a weird situation. I've only seen it one time. We can do the only use once. add as a new comment, keep the original comment. I do that many times. I also use the keep original and use once also. We're going to do that right now. So it's not going to mess with my original library. So that's toggled on. Abandoned wiring 1, 2, 3, 4. It's toggled. Done. All right. So I'm on site. I want to, we can finish this on site. We can go right to the top. We can sync to cloud. You can then open your dashboard, publish it right there if this is 100% done. I don't like that idea. I like to go back through my report and check to make sure that everything is accurate. That, say, cracked brick in a foundation, sometimes it's a hairline crack, it needs a little waterproofing, but the concern that I selected says it's a major concern, and it's now going to scare them. I don't want to do that. Maybe I just change the concern. Maybe I edit the concern and change it from major to minor with some waterproofing. But I just like that idea of I want to go back and make sure that everything is accurately portrayed to the client so that we don't scare them off or undervalue something and say that it's lesser than what it is. So I always go back and look at that. So we've hit sync. It's now going to show up over here. I'm just going to hit refresh. Okay. So all the media we took on site is going to show up here. I'm going to go to systems and go to electrical and just show you that abandoned wiring 1, 2, 3, 4 showed up. So that concern I created on site is now in my browser. So at this point, I'm going to go back, and I typically start right at the beginning, right at the top of the list, overview. If I need a property condition summary, for those starting out, your gut inspectors are going to say we got to do it every time. I don't do it every time. I do it on a house that needs it. If I'm in a brand new house, I don't have to tell them that it's a perfect house. Or, if it's a brand new house and was done by a hack contractor, I might want to put in there that this was a poorly built house and use it. But I'm just saying that you don't have to fill every field just because it exists. I typo, we're going to delete that, hit save. Okay, clean that up, go down. Are my disclaimers right? I already know what's in here. I don't have to go through it. But if I know there's something going on, hey, this house was really rough condition, I want to go in and put a lot of these are all default ones. So this house wasn't complete. Construction was not yet complete. Thus many items cannot be tested. Hey, we're going to turn that one on. And then it shows up in our list. Cooling system, central, foundation. So I showed you some of this from the app. It did transfer over. We can go down through here. We can say it was a heat pump on site. We had central air with it. Location of crawl space entrance. Use this as you need to. Some of these things I put in there. I think letting them know the crawl space entrance is the back is a good thing. You would think, aren't they going to know that? Some people are, some people aren't. Some people don't pay attention to what's going on. When I'm inspecting a home, I always put a picture of the main water valves, the gas valve, where the electrical breaker is. I notate it's in the garage, it's in the closet, in the laundry room, because people just don't pay attention. And then when they have a problem, they're trying to figure out where things are. So I like to identify all of those things and paint a clear picture. So sometimes these descriptions can help with that. But don't get overwhelmed with, I got to put every single thing in here. It doesn't have to be on there. If you're not going to use it, turn it off. I leave some of these on there because I sometimes, if it's questionable, like, well, did he go on the roof? Yeah, I went on the roof. I always put pictures from the top of the roof in my report to prove whether I'm on the roof or not, whether there's an issue with the roof or not. Anyways, so we can do all of this from here. Once I fill this page out with everything I want on there, I'm going to drop to my systems, start in appliances, go through any appliances so say the kitchen is a brand new house, there's nothing wrong with any of the appliances, everything tested perfectly. I didn't touch this when I was in the house because I tested everything and went on to the next room. You can toggle all this and you can finish the report on site. It's not my way of doing things. So now that I'm at my desktop, I'm looking at this. Hey, the dishwasher worked. I do not inspect appliances that are not permanently installed, including washer and dryer. I changed my dryer to dryer vent because I often find issues with the dryer vent and I don't use the dryer. So I created my concerns for dryer vent, added them in there. I've been in new homes where they didn't install a dryer vent. So we've got dryer vent missing. We've got options in there. But that didn't happen on this one. No garbage disposal. Microwave was good. Oven range was good. Refrigerator was good. Again, I don't use washer. I changed it to washer connections. I've been in older homes where they take the washer out and we find water running down where the valves are bad, and they didn't know it because they've been open for 20 years. And then I can go down here to status and hit satisfactory. It changes all of them to satisfactory. So I don't have to uncheck those. So if I go to plumbing and do the same thing, hey, the cleanouts were good, the fuel lines were good, the hose bib was good, status, satisfactory, it changes those. Now I can go and click right on this NA and say that it's satisfactory, and go to water main valve and say it's satisfactory, but that's plumbing vent, 1 click, 2 click, 1 click, 2 click. Doing this, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, done, where it would have been 10 clicks. So it's much faster to check what you want to check and hit the status. Now, you didn't see me go in here and say, so outlet, not tested, satisfactory, not applicable. When you start with a web writer in your library, this is all the default that comes out of the library. Everything's going to show up as not tested. Okay. So when you go into a house, let's go back to appliances. We don't have a cooktop in that house. We don't have a garbage disposal in that house. If you leave it set to not tested, you have to come back into this and then click on every one of these items that you didn't inspect because they didn't exist. You have to come back here and click on all of these and change them back to NA because they didn't exist. Because if we leave them as not tested, it's going to show up in the report as if this item was there and we didn't inspect it, which we don't want. So it is important. I went through, like I said, in my library and just changed everything. You can select all at one time and change them all to not inspected. That way, when you walk in, it automatically, so under electrical, the things I found issues with are already assigned that there's an issue with it. Everything else is showing NA. So at this point, all I've got to do is say, hey, this is an older house. There's no AFCI. There's no carbon monoxide. There's no ceiling fan. There was no doorbell. There's an electric service panel. There's an electrical mast. There was electrical service. There's light fixtures and outlets and smoke detectors, and there was switches and status, satisfactory. I'm now done with that section. That makes it real quick. So this is the way I work through this software. It makes it really quick, finalizing that report for anything you haven't entered in on site. We had an AC coil inside. We had an air handler. We had ductwork. The furnace was great. There was vented furnace. There's registers and returns in every room. And thermostat, status, satisfactory. Now, the next step after I go through all of these, the next step is going to be, and I want to point out before I get to that, when I get to pool and hot tub, there's nothing there. There's items that are there. We can add them. I don't know. I don't inspect hot tubs, spas. I do pools, but we can add these systems in there. I just don't know what I'm going to run into when I'm on site. So I don't want all that stuff in there. So if I were to run into a pool hot tub situation, we just jump in here and add whatever it is we want to add. Some of the other things that are in here, I have also removed simply to streamline what I'm doing on site. Now, honestly, I couldn't even tell you right now. I'd have to go in here and look. So all of that exists. But some of these I have removed things. HVAC, add item. So boiler pipes, I'm in South Carolina. We don't have boilers here. We don't have boiler pipes. We do have, on occasion, a rare occasion, there are electric radiator heaters. I just did a house with it 2 weeks ago, but we don't see those common at all. So I do not leave this in my list. If I run into it, I just pop over here, hit add item, drop down to baseboard radiator, and add that item. And the reason is, when I'm in the field and I'm on my app, I don't want, let me see, where's my app at? I closed it. Okay. When I open a field in the app like HVAC, I don't want a list that runs all the way down to the bottom of my screen where I'm scrolling and scrolling looking for an item. If it's an item that's not common in my area, I remove it. I can always add it back in when I find it. It's not very difficult at all. Okay, so let's say I've gone all the way to the bottom. I filled all this out. Now I want to go back and put my details in, make sure all my item details are correct. So for instance, on the furnace, this is a gas furnace. Most of them around here are. So we've got LP, you've got oil. I have gas set by default, so then I could change it if I want to. So now we have electric. And we do have some of those in manufactured homes here. Forced air, select, we can put, hey, it was in the American Standard furnace. It probably wasn't, but you can put the things in here. Now for this particular detail screen for a furnace, what's important to me, I don't care about the model number. They don't care about the model number, the serial number. What I care about is the year built. Now I left model and serial number open. I did that for a reason. Sometimes I get to a house and I've got a 20-year-old heat pump and it's not working right. It's working, but it's not working well. I want to put the model number and serial number in there because then that agent's going to call an HVAC guy and say, I need a unit replaced, an estimate for unit replaced. And he's going to say, hey, do you have the model and serial number? Certainly I do. It's right here in the report. In that situation, I put it in here. Every day I don't use it, but I like the option of being able to do that in case that situation. So the year built's also important. They want to know whether they're buying a house with a 1-year-old unit or a 25-year-old unit. So I always put the year built in there. Now, I'm going to back up here and show you the easy way to get through all these details. Every one of these items, most of them at least, have details to fill out. So if I open appliances and show you this, when I hit hide NA status, everything that's marked NA is going to disappear. Now I only have to deal with the things that I touched on site, inspected. Whether there was something wrong or they were perfect, those items are now showing. So under electrical, you can see the items that had issues and the items that were inspected. I can start right at the top. I can go to dishwasher. Do I want to tell the manufacturer? Not really important. What you use here is up to you, but then I can toggle next, microwave oven, next, oven range, next. One of the things that I do here, location of the cleanout could definitely be important. It is at the front yard. So I'm going to put that in there. Fuel line material, it's not, for me, it's not critical. It was black iron. I can put it in, I cannot put it. It's simple to put it. If you know what it is, it's there. I just click on it, throw it in there. Hose bib, whether it's freeze resistant, we can toggle that on because it was. They weren't, so we won't. But so now I'm toggling through only the things that exist in the report. So if I go back to systems, we'll go HVAC. Yep. So with that toggled so that we can see the NA status, if I'm in plumbing and I go to the last, say we go to water heater, the next one's going to be water pipe. I guess I didn't have that toggle, did I? No, I didn't. It was NA. But it's showing up when I go to the next item. It's going to show up. I didn't want it to show up. AFCI wasn't in the house. It's showing NA. I don't want that to show up when I'm trying to enter all my details. I don't want to see all 400 things in this report. I just want to see what it is I touched and inspected. So that little tip there will save a lot of time, just toggling that before you go through all your details. A lot of those I'll put in on site. I'm standing at the panel. I'm taking a picture of, hey, we got a double tap breaker. I'm looking at it. It's a 200 amp panel. It's a GE. I might even throw GE in there just because I'm being nice at the time. They don't care what brand it is, though. So some of this stuff I've already got filled out. A lot of it I've got set by default. For my personal inspection process, always go back through and start at the very beginning and just tap through every one of these to make sure there's not something in there I want to add or change. So just my recommendation, it makes sure that we don't give the wrong information. Did I miss anything, Susie?
But I did want to point out for item details, if you don't fill them out, like if you don't want to fill out the serial number or the model number, things like that, they won't actually appear in the report. So it's not like it's going to appear serial number and then a blank space like you missed it or something like that. So it's okay to skip over things, but still keep them in the template, if you will, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so the other thing is just to point out, and it's not something I really use, but once I've finished on my browser, I can go back to the app and hit refresh, and it will resync everything I just did on the browser back to the app again. So it works back and forth.
Okay, I posted it, but I guess you didn't receive it. The question is, when you and your wife upload your report from the field, do you use two different names for the report? So when you're back on your computer, you know which one you're grabbing or merging?
It's one account. We have one account. We are both using the same account, so that when everything merges, it goes back into one report under that one account. We never work separately. We always work together so that we don't have separate inspector accounts. So everything goes back and merges into the single report. And she sits at her laptop and tweaks all the stuff she did on site, and I sit at mine and tweak all the stuff I did on site on the browser. And then we might discuss some things like, hey, what'd you think about that? Does this affect this? And add some details to the report as we're talking together. But we both work in the report at the same time on the browser and the phones or tablet.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there's no need to merge or to have to select a report to merge into the other if you're used to using the desktop. There's no need for that. It already knows and recognizes that you're sharing the same report. So when you hit sync, it just kind of fills it all in.
Yep.
Just one button. It's so nice. Awesome. Any other questions before?
Just to be clear, so I can set up my report on the desktop, right? And then when I set up the report, then I can transfer it over to the mobile via the cloud. And then when I finish my inspection with the mobile device, I can transfer it back to the desktop and complete my report. Is that it? That's a procedure?
Yeah. Yep.
So I go from the mobile via what? The companion or what? Or just sync it?
Yeah, it's an app. You would download the Web Writer app.
And he's showing both of them right here. So you see how there's the smaller screen right there that says refresh data? That's the app. And then behind it is the desktop version, or it's the browser version, we call it.
I got it.
Yeah, and it's just one button that you click. You don't have to do anything else. You just hit refresh data, and then you can go to your computer and it's all there. It's really nice.
Yeah, so everything, and anything I add into here, when I hit refresh, shows up in the browser.
Okay.
And then I mean, you could publish right from on site if you wanted to. I don't like that idea. I'm just too cautious to do that.
Neither do I. I prefer to send the information over to the desktop.
Yeah.
Then I can sit down and.
Yeah, so I actually go from here, and I didn't show this. So once I get done with putting in all my systems, once I'm done doing all these details, the last thing that I do is hit preview. And then I'm looking.
For the model number and serial number of the appliances, can I just show a picture of the model number and serial number from the label on the appliance?
Yep, you could.
But normally those labels should have the year built, right? I think so.
Some do, some don't. Some you have to decipher to get. I mean, we're familiar with how to decipher it, but typically with appliances, we try to get at least the manufacturer year. So we'll typically throw in the make, like it's a GE or a Frigidaire or whatever, and then we'll throw in the manufacturer year on it. So we try to decode it and put that in there. If you want to put the label in there, you could do that. I think there's a place to do that actually. So systems, I may have removed it from my library though. To have it in your manufacturer data plate. So I could toggle that, hit done, go down here and hit camera and take a picture of the manufacturer data plate.
Okay.
And actually these new phones are great because they'll actually like put a square around whatever the document is, and you can actually hit scan and it pops it out in a little document, like it just takes the plate information.
Okay. When you enter the data, when you inspect, it's automatically saved, or do you have to specifically save it?
It's automatic. Everything we put in here automatically saves. The only one place you have to press save is in that summary. Let me go back here.
Okay.
On either side, once this condition summary, you've got to hit that save button, or this will not save.
Okay. I got it. Yeah.
That's the only place in any of this that you really have to worry about saving things. The last thing I do is go back through and look at. So here's my summary. Yeah. So here's the summary of items. I can click on any one of these and go directly to it. I can go over here to the left and go back to the summary.
So if there's not a problem with the item that you inspect, you just click satisfactory, right? No comment.
Yes. Yeah, so if there's an item there that I inspected, there's nothing wrong with it, that's where, when I go to finish my report, and I don't do that on site. I'm not taking time there to do other, because I know I'm going to spend time at home. It's easier on the desktop. Like I was showing you, we can just go right in here and collect the boxes of what we did. And because I have everything else already marked NA, they disappear from the report. So I just check the things that existed, I touched, go down here to status, change it. I really don't use, I'm not even sure what edit does. I don't use these things. I use status. That's all I do. I don't want to play with it right near here live. So
Okay.
And then if you, Darren, I know we're just about 7 minutes to 1. Maybe if you could show, I bet you're right about to do that, but show the publish option as well.
So when I preview, this is what I want to do. From here, I can hit publish, and I'll go ahead and do it. So I'm also signed up with HomeGauge Protect. So every time I publish a report, boom. Do you want to publish it? Yes, we're going to send it to the dashboard. Okay. And if you were interested in the HomeGauge Protect, just so that you know, if you were to publish, once you do it once, if you retract that report and send a different one, like you edit it, like, oh, I forgot to add this, quick, delete, and go publish another one, it doesn't charge you twice. It's just that first report.
Exactly. So exactly what does the HomeGauge Protect do?
So HomeGauge Protect, it's like $22 per inspection.
Not included in the cost of the software?
No, it's something, it's an add-on that I chose to be a part of. It's $22 per inspection that I pay. I actually raised my rates $25 across the board when I did this. I asked the agents I was talking to about it, hey, is this something you'd be interested in me adding? It's going to be across the board fee. And they all went yes. But what it does is it provides a guarantee. So this warranty, there's no inspections. So if the built-in microwave dies, they don't have to get someone to come in and verify the microwave died. They go out, they buy a microwave, they go into their warranty account, they submit a claim. They just have to show that on the report the microwave was inspected and working at time of inspection. They go buy another microwave, or they have an installer put it in. They get whatever the reimbursement is up to the cap. So there's certain caps on these things. It's up to 5,000 total, I believe. I don't remember. I have to look at the details. But anyways, that's a program that HomeGauge offers. It's extra. It's across the board.
So
but you do have.
It's almost like an insurance against your inspection.
That's why I do it. If someone calls me back and says, all of a sudden, this isn't working, and that's like, well, it worked at the time of inspection. Hey, look, you just got a warranty. I've already paid for it. You paid for it. It's done. Just go get a new one, submit it to the warranty. It's done. So it gives me that coverage. The agents love it because I have that bit of security behind my inspection. It's not just, hey, now we're arguing over whether it worked or not. They just go get a new appliance or fix whatever it was that's broken. I'll also add that they just yesterday announced they're extending this warranty. So now the homeowners can extend that warranty with higher claim levels and go year round with it. And if they choose to do that, they actually pay the inspector $40 fee for the client signing up. So you can actually make money down the road. So for me, I bought it because it was protecting me for any callbacks later on. It may not be for everybody. It's something that I use, the agents that I use like that.
What are inspectors responsible for an item that goes bad after the day of the inspection?
No, but that doesn't mean you're not going to have someone call you and try to force you to be responsible and nag you. It removes that.
Thank you for sharing that perspective too, Darren. I did post a link to our HomeGauge Protect information article there for anybody who's interested to just learn a little bit more. You can always call in, but there's also information on how to sign up as well. But it's great to know that you're using it and people are really liking it, and the new edition that is coming out too. Love that. All right. Well, Darren, thank you so much. You're amazing. And it's such a value to have your perspective.
Thank you all.